Hello, hello, hello. I need to say, you know what time it is. It ain't Taco Tuesday, it's Teague's Take Tuesday one more time. We love just being on and come talking about a lot of things. And man, we got a good one lined up for you tonight. And there's so many breaking news, things happening around the league, around college, with the college football playoff rankings coming out and all kind of stuff. So we're going to spend the next hour, man, just covering a few things um, with you guys. I do want to go ahead and say before we dive into it, too early. At Teague's Take, we're going to start moving everything up pretty much over to YouTube. So if you have not subscribed to Teague's Take Podcast over on the YouTube page, please do that. We know we have a lot of you guys are on Facebook. We very much appreciate that. We got thousands of followers there. We need you guys to move on over to YouTube for us. So make sure you go ahead and get on that because over the next few weeks, we've made the decision as a group, JT and I, that we're going to go ahead and concentrate everything over in one position. So we'll remind you guys, give you guys some time to be able to do that. We just feel like it's going to be better for the show, the program, the ease, and a lot of different things that YouTube is offering us. We want to go ahead and do that. All right. Before we get started with our very special guest tonight, I need to talk to you about our little run out. This is kind of important to me, and it has to do with mental health. You know, there's starting to be a lot of spotlight on athletes because they're beginning to talk about it, and people starting to accept what that really looks like. You had Simone Biles, Naomi Osaka, and others who are helping to decrease the stigma of what mental health is. But one of our Alabama guys and Falcons players, Calvin Ridley, had recently decided he needed to step away from the game for mental health as well. And, immediately a lot of people just kind of go, oh, man, what's going on? How's he doing? So when you see it, you see a lot of care and a lot of stuff. And before it wasn't really, really like that. So, there's a lot of people, there's a lot of pressure on us as athletes because millions of people watch you and they want to see you compete. They want to see you hold up trophies and the gold medals and, and things of this nature. And so back in the day, it was kind of a bad thing. I'm not sure if that's what it is now. Before you had to kind of tough it out. They just thought, it's the old rub it with dirt kind of thing. It's not really like that anymore. I think we're so much more advanced, and generations of athletes are starting to understand and really spread themselves by talking about it, really taking a hold of it. So let's just make sure that we're being conscious of being able to talk about your depression or anxieties or overwhelming stress and all that kind of stuff, whether it's on a regular job or as an athlete. Make sure we're seeking help, where needed, because it is a very serious deal. And as much as we want to question people, we shouldn't, because if we haven't experienced it, perhaps the way some of us have, then you shouldn't. Don't judge. All right. Okay. So I do want to talk about our guest that we're going to have on tonight. Man, I know you guys are excited about this because we got Derrick Deese with us. Derrick Deese is a gentleman who played in the league for, about 13, 14 years. Spent a decade with the San Francisco 49ers. Did go on to play with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, but he won the Super Bowl back in the day as well. He was just a tremendous player. And as we get into it a little bit later, we got something to show you because we're kind of tied together at the hip. Most people tie me with Terrell Owens, but I'm always talking about him more than I am about Terrell Owens, and we'll dive in that in a minute. So we're always glad to have JT in the house with us as well. We call him the analytical one, the brains of the operation, the Mr. Producer Extraordinaire. Man, he brings so much knowledge to the game. So it's going to be three of us, at least for about a half hour, and then we'll see what Derrick wants to do see if he loves us or not, see if he wants to hang out for a little bit. All right. So, Derek, man, why don't you, before we get into the other stuff about the 49ers game, what do you think about this mental health stuff, man? Any insight you can give us,
Well,
as
I
a
mean,
player?
as you were saying, when we played, it was it was pushed to the back. Guys just dealt with pressure. You just know, hey, look, you're gonna have, you know, you're living your dream, and along with your dreams comes more pressure and more anxiety and all kinds of things, and so guys kind of it took things a different way. You were looked at kind of weak if you said something about, I'm struggling to deal with this, I'm struggling to deal with that. And nowadays, it's a little bit more accepted. Some people still can't see how a guy that's living his dream is having, an issue or a mental problem or anxiety and things like that. But you got to understand, like they always say, when you make more money, it just really creates more bills, more things to take care of. And so, um, guys that get in the league, it's not just about playing on that Sunday or a Thursday or Monday night game. A lot of times it's about taking care of the stuff that's behind the scenes that no one sees and all the pressure that's put on you and things like that. And guys, nowadays, some guys are just, they're fed up of it and they're just going to talk about it and they're going to say something about it and they need to pull themselves away from the game in order to get that those thoughts under control. And now people are starting to accept that. But I look back like when we played, George. I think that you got some good and you got some bad out of that. It kind of made you aware of like, hey, look, you can make it through the situation. Um, there's a lot of guys that are dealing with it. A lot of guys dealing with the same thing that you're dealing with, and how they're handling it. And now it's more so guys are, oh, I'm not going to handle it that way. I'm going to handle it my way, and it's more accepted that way, and it's understood. So when you hear that, the first thing you start thinking is like, okay, how bad is it? And if you're a teammate or you know the guy, you reach out to him. You just want to let him know that somebody's there for him. I'm here to listen. I'm here to talk, and that's really what it's about. And so the brotherhood is so close and it's so far sometimes, and then that's a terrible thing. We don't check up on guys until something goes bad, and then you're like, oh, let me check up on everybody else, and then you go silent again for a while. And I think that the league, in a whole, needs to figure out ways where alumni is checking in on alumni, and even the present players more so. And we don't do a great job of that as players.
Yep, I agree 100%. And thank you for sharing those words because it is serious, and we're definitely praying for uh, everybody who's struggling with it, and particularly Calvin Ridley in this case. And for those of you guys who listen to it on the recorded podcast, again, we got Derrick Deese with us. You can find him on Twitter at Derrick is DERRICK _Deese DEESE. Give him a good follow. I know all you USC fans would love to be seeing what he's up to, and we ain't even gonna talk about what's going on out there at USC, or maybe we will. I don't know.
Do me a favor.
We'll try not to instigate too much on what's going on out there, but he's living out there in California, and he probably can give us a whole lot. So, JT, you want to wrap up anything about the mental health?
I'll wrap up with a couple of comments that we had. We got one from Justin Riley saying that people forget that athletes aren't deity. They struggle and face the same trials that all of us do. And Craig Young has a question about what do we think about the NFL concussion protocol, and do you believe this is the reason for most mental challenges? I'll answer that question first. I'll just say no, I don't think that the NFL concussion protocol or concussions really in this instance is the cause of that, as we've seen this happen to athletes across the sport that don't even have to worry about concussions like that. And it affects everyday people too. Just we don't see it with people every day because we're not looking for them every Sunday, Saturday, Friday, whatever. They go home and they have, whether it be a mental breakdown or the issues, they get to deal with it very easily in private. And maybe their coworkers know, but they're not, being broadcast on CBS every week, and you're wondering where the guy's at. So is there anything to add to that question there?
Derrick?
I don't think the concussion protocol has anything to do with a lot of things that are coming out with players nowadays. I think players are well aware of what's going on with concussions and things like that. Obviously, you go back, 20, 30 years ago, players, when they were fighting for the knowledge of concussions, they just knew that the league knew something that players didn't. And we just wanted players to be able to know that what was going on with the concussions and so forth. It wasn't viewed back when we played as a big deal. You get a concussion, you had a mild concussion. It was always a mild concussion. And you could play the next day, or you can even continue playing the same day. Like, it just wasn't as big as it is now. And I think over a course of time, obviously players now are making decisions. I mean, you see so many guys, play, they get one concussion and they say, I'm done. And they retire. They just don't like that feeling, or they don't like I've seen kids stop playing football in high school because they're scared of getting a concussion. They haven't even gotten one, but they're scared of getting one. I think the game has changed the way players attack the game. It's not attacked as violent as it was back in the day. Everything's not about riding quote unquote the bike or riding the air helmets or anything like that, which was a symbol that was put right in the front of your head. And you was always trying to, lay hat on somebody. And that's, you don't have to keep your head on a swivel as much as you did when we played. And so all those rule changes have changed the game. It's made it a lot more, I think, safer, I guess is how you want to put it, for guys. It's made former athletes or former alumni, I should say that the game is not really the game anymore. And it's a lot safer. It's a lot softer, I guess is how you want to put it for some. And so
soft with a PH.
Yes.
Soft.
So, the rule, there's certain things you can't do or get away with that you could get away with back in the day. And so the game is it's completely different. I think it's where you're looking at there's less concussions. There's less there's not less injuries, because now the injuries are going towards different things because they don't practice as long and their body can't take the full 100, let me go 100 miles an hour on game day when I don't do it on practice days.
Don't hurt them, Deese. Don't hurt them.
I don't wear pads every day. I don't have 6 weeks of training camp. So I'm trying to get ready for a game, and now I got to be able to play this game full speed. It doesn't work. You got to give up something to get something. So if you want to be able to put your body in every position, that you can imagine to get hit and all kinds of things, it takes practice, and it takes being able to wear the pads. And if you don't want to do that, then you get out there on game day, you try to do it, your body's not going to be, able to do it every time. So you got guys blowing out ACLs in wide open space. And it's not because their ligaments are weak, it's because their body's not used to making that cut at 100 miles an hour. You don't do it at practice. When you wear shells or you wear no pads, no one goes that fast. It doesn't happen.
They go through walkthrough. And normal day is like Fridays, like we used to have all the time.
Yep.
Just get a slow pace. And man, I do appreciate you saying that. Mainly because of my own thought process here, because I've been tweeting and I keep reminding every couple of weeks I put, hey, don't blame these injuries on the length of. I know we added a game, and there's some debate on whether it's safe or whatnot, but these guys are getting hurt left and right, soft tissue things, like you said. week 3, we pretty much had. I mean, we're week 8 now. We're halfway through, and man, the amount of people that are out, starters that are out, really makes me question. Okay, what was off season like? Are we going to blame this on COVID? Or is it training principles and all the new methods and different things? But I think you hit it on the head. You're just not preparing the same way to be ready for the grueling battle of going out there on a Thursday, Monday, or Sunday, running and hitting and jumping and cutting. It's still a physical football game. As soft as it is getting, there's still a lot of collisions and change of direction. So, speaking of change of direction, I think I had some of the best change of direction ever back in 2000, September. I gotta see this. If you hadn't really took a look at this clip here,
and George levels it. Here it goes. And now Teague is aimed at by an offensive lineman. Flozell Adams post, and George Teague levels it. Here it goes. And now Teague is aimed at by an offensive lineman. Flozell Adams post, and George Teague levels it. Here it goes. And now Teague is aimed at by an offensive lineman. Flozell Adams post, and George Teague levels it. Here it goes. And now Teague is aimed.
Story, right? And Derrick, I want to ask just straight off out the top, because I don't know when it happened. All I knew was I was watching Terrell Owens get ready to go celebrate. Had no idea someone else was behind me or doing whatever else. So can you go ahead and tell us, when did you start chasing? Did you really know what was going on? Was it just, were you doing the old black man syndrome and people running, so I'm gonna start running? Or what was going on in your head while this was going down?
Well, what happened was I felt like I didn't see the first one. So I never saw him get on the star the first time. What I did see was I saw Emmett get on the star and take his helmet off and slam the ball down. And I was like, what was that about? And somebody said, I think T.O. did it first. And I was like, huh? And so I was like, nah. I was like, I didn't see it. So we played again. We go down, we score. And all of a sudden, T.O. takes off. And, normally, when he scores, we celebrate. And it's like, okay, well, where's he going? So he takes off. And then I look up and I see you take off. So I'm like, oh, he's going to get him. I just meant, because you got to understand the rivalry that, the Niners Cowboys. I mean, it's nasty. Cowboys and Niners, we don't like each other. We just didn't like, and we had friends on each other's teams. It's just like when you play against each other, you didn't like them and they didn't like us. And so, and we had been, for years going at it in the NFC Championship games and things like that. So it's been a long time rivalry. So I was like, okay, well, he took off after T.O. He's got to be going after him. So I went after him. I'm like, okay, what's he going to do? And so when T.O. went to put his hands up and then he gets hit, I'm like, oh, I'm coming. I'm coming. And then you saw me, obviously. So when I went to leap, it was over. I was like, uh-oh. There you go. Uh-oh. And then I'm down and I'm like, okay, I hope somebody came after me, because I don't know. I don't know how I'm going to get out of this right now. So it was like, it wasn't done out of like, it's just me. It wasn't done to be malicious. It was done more so to protect my own player. I was that guy who always protected his players, whether it was Jerry or Steve. It just didn't matter. I took it personal if somebody attacked one of my players. And so I was like kind of like the enforcer, and I looked up, I was like, okay, well, here we go, and all I'm thinking on the way is like, another fine mess you didn't got me into, T.O. Here we go. Yes,
you had mentioned some, and thank you for sharing that hindsight when you look at it, because again, like I always say, I was like, man, because most people don't even know. Even when I tweeted out, people's like, man, I never saw that. I never knew that, because some of the clips stopped before then. And I was like, yeah, that could have been disastrous for me, if you would actually, laid into me like that. So, when you think about it, now what do you say, to yourself? You say, okay, if I would have hit him, is it more of I wish now it's just real talk, straight talk, whatever, right?
It is.
Wish I should hit him. I wish I would have got him, or feeling sorry for saying, man, if I would have got him, what in the heck, what would have happened?
Well, I look at it like, when it was over, I was still like in a, the game was over. We were in the locker room. We knew people were going to be asking questions about the whole incident and things. And I was thinking like, man, you know what? How much is this going to cost me? Because that was the real big deal. Was like, okay, what I just did, I don't know if they're going to look at it from a standpoint of, okay, this is just a guy trying to protect his teammate, or was he really trying to really hurt somebody? Because I didn't think about it at that point. It wasn't until like maybe a couple of weeks later after that game, and I'm sitting at home and I'm thinking that somebody played it, and I was like, if him and I would have collided at that, I mean, man, this could have been devastating. And I was like, for either one of us or even both. So I'm like, I was happy that it didn't happen, and at the same time I'm thinking like, man, what was I really thinking? Taking off at that speed, knowing that I ain't gonna stop. You know what I mean? There's no, it ain't no stopping at that point. Like, but I was happy that it didn't happen. I was happy that, it was just a deal where you saw me. I was happy about that. And then at the end of the day, I was like, okay, well, you know what? I didn't get fined. I got lucky.
I'm about to say, did you catch a fine? You didn't. Me and Gio, the only one got hit for a fine on that.
I didn't catch a fine, and I was happy about that. And so, there's one. That's one that I got under I snuck under. But I mean, I had been fined for fighting a ton of times in games. So I was just like, man, this is just gonna be a big one right here. And it didn't happen. But like I said, at the end of the day, it wasn't done like to be malicious. It was done just to protect my teammate and show my team that teammates say, look, I got your back. I don't if it's right or wrong, it don't matter. I'm not gonna let nobody just hurt you. So I just think I'm a big guy on playing a game. We are somewhat entertainers. Guys do things to entertain the fans and so forth, and come up with the receivers and running backs and some of the quarterbacks even come up with crazy dances and spikes and all kinds of stuff. And to me, it was a lot of that stuff was just being done out of fun. But I think some guys, they take some things. You can take it personal, especially when it's a rival like that. Everything's personal, and that ended up being interesting over the course of time, because he ended up being a guy that was at one point hated by the Cowboys, who next thing you know, he's embraced by the Cowboys.
Crazy.
So it's the way things happen, it was just a point of time, was a point in the game. And when you got kicked out, I was kind of surprised about that too. You know what I mean? Because if you go back and you listen to like that telecast, they're saying like, I understand why he's doing it, and I was like, yeah, I understand why he's doing it too, but man, it was just a game.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. And I'll say this to everybody in the U, and just because people always ask me what happened, and I have to say, I bet both of us, kind of me and you, had some of the same mindset. It was that it was the heat of a game, things were going on, and sometimes we're so all the time we're so much caught into the game, whatever it is, not because we have necessarily a personal hate for someone, but you get caught up into it. And I didn't really care that there was 80,000 people out there or whatever the number was. It was, we were in the heat of the moment in the game, like you said, in rivalries, and there's shit talking and there's all kind of stuff going on. And, there's a sequence, like you said, he runs out, and then here's, Emmett going out, and then I'm watching, and I'm figuring, okay, what's he gonna do? It really was like a little soap opera, and it just, at that point, it was just like, okay, that's it, and lo and behold, here you come, and that probably would have been the fourth chapter of the book, I guess, if you actually would have hit me. I don't know which way would have went. I guess there would have been another. You know what? I got to see if someone can make a picture of me ducking under you. That's what I got to get. I got Terrell Owens of me hitting him. I got to get one where I could show I was ducking under you. That would be a good one. So what kind of relationship did you have with him? I mean, just with the time were you there? Were you guys cool, or how'd that really work?
Oh, T.O. and I were like brothers, man. I mean, I didn't have, but I hear people talk about issues with T.O. and him breaking up locker rooms and all that stuff. That didn't happen with us. I mean, that we talked and spent time together, talking about family and things like that, and kids and what his plans were for football and after football, and how he had made it so far, and how the road he traveled, was a real different one. And I think that's what kind of made me mad a lot of times when people discuss T.O. is because they don't really know who he really is. They see certain things, and then you have this like perception that that's reality, and it's not really who he is. A lot of times, he's having fun. A lot of things that he does is just for fun. A lot of things that he does is just outside of the box. And I think people don't understand that. And it's interesting that you can go down the list and see that, there's some guys that just, they didn't like him, but that happens in a family. It's like you got brothers and sisters that fight and argue. And at the end of the day, they still brothers and sisters. And sometimes that happened in the locker room, but for the most part, man, T.O. got along with most of the guys in the locker room. It's just you have one or two guys that maybe don't get along, and that's going to happen. You argue, you fight. You don't like the way a guy is coming across. You don't think it's the way he should. And I'm not the guy that makes that judge. I don't judge on nobody. I let everybody be who they are, and either I'm going to accept you into my area for who you are, or I'm not. And you have that. That's your option. You have the choice to do that. And so for T.O., we were tight when we played, and we're still tight now that we don't play. I traveled to Tennessee, Chattanooga for his induction into the Hall of Fame that he didn't do at Canton. He's been to my golf tournaments a couple of times that I've thrown in the Bay Area before COVID happened. So, I mean, we still talk, we still chat. If I needed something, I could call him. If he needs something, he knows he can call me. And so it was a friendship and a bond that was built over time, and it's lasted. And so, like, I don't really have nothing bad to say about him ever. And a lot of people that do speak bad, I just ask them, hey, man, how much time have you actually spent with the guy? And I don't mean spent looking at clips and listening to what other people say. I meant spent with him personally. And if you do, I think you'll find out a lot of different things about him, and that he's a lot more, there's a lot more substance to it.
So very strong words in favor of Terrell Owens, and I do appreciate that, and I know he does too. He's a hell of a football player and things of that nature. And because you do talk to him, I will say that please tell him I said what's up. There's one person that he hadn't talked to, that hadn't given me an opportunity, was talking to me, and I did try to reach out to him when he was with the Cowboys, and just, like I said, I have no real hatred for him like that. As much as we play it up and do all this kind of stuff and different things, it is what it is. But it has been 20 years, I guess. And I haven't talked to him at all. So
figured when he did his podcast, you guys would hook up, at some point.
It's all good, man. Like you said, we're forever going to be connected regardless of what happens. They're going to be showing this play for eternity, I'm sure, because there's not going to be, and it's not even a play. This incident, like this for years to come, just because you're probably, I don't know if they can get away with any of this stuff now. I think get away with it. Can you imagine this happening in today's football?
I tell
what
people,
Goodell might do.
Hey, man, I tell people a lot of things that we did, not just on the field, but even in the locker room. You talking about being canceled.
Oh man, you can't
Man,
say no.
man,
Yeah,
canceled. Wow, quick, in a hurry.
man. That's right. That's right. It's different, and we're the same age. I'm 50. I think you're about 51 now,
Yeah.
probably something like that. You're looking good, man, for your age. Staying in shape. That's good, man. Make sure
We
you're
gotta
in
stay
tune with.
young, right? We gotta keep the young
Yeah.
bucks in line.
Hey, you mentioned some things earlier that I thought were really important about NFL benefits, the NFL alumni, all the things they offer us as former players, but also definitely what they're doing now. I mean, as good as it was getting for us, the benefits that these guys have now are tremendous. And I'm glad we were able to lay some of the way of
Yes.
that as the people before us laid it for us. And so we just asked the new alumni guys, man, or current players, really dial into everything that you have, because like with Henry Ruggs and what his very unfortunate incident. God bless the family of the people that have been hurt. Got wishing all the best for Ruggs and all that kind of stuff. But there's a lot of tools out there that NFL players can use, and I hope that you guys aren't afraid to use those. So Derek, you kind of mentioned some of that off air. Do you want to share that?
Well, when we played with the Niners, they used to give out it was a keychain, and on the keychain it was in a circle, and on the keychain it had a phone number and it had a number on the back, and the number did. They wanted to make sure the number did not correspond with your jersey number, so everybody had a different number than what their jersey number was, and if you were ever out and you were having too good of a time and you ended up not having a way home, you could call this number and they would send somebody to come, take you home and make sure your car or whatever got home. They bring two people and somebody would drive you home or whatever. I think guys used it. I mean, you never found out if a guy ever used it or not, and it was all kept under the rug. So you should feel safe using it and secure using it. And so I think guys used it. That went out and did stuff like that. But nowadays, there's just too many different avenues for guys to use other things, including that. And I know teams still do that. So, you kind of you feel sometimes when guys don't want to take advantage of all the stuff that's given to them and put in front of them. And when an incident like what just happened um, in Vegas, it's rough. It's a rough deal. It's rough to swallow. You feel for obviously the family that was affected, but there's a lot more than just one family affected. There's a lot of families affected. There's a team and an organization that's affected. There's fans that are affected, and there's a league that gets affected because the perception of um,
The
the guys and the brotherhood not really taking care of business the way they should, and it's hard, it's harsh, and um, you know, it, and you hate to say it, but it always goes back to like, oh, that won't happen to me, and that when it does, guys start really looking around, and so
Yep.
I think a lot of times, you hope guys are out with other teammates, other guys that can, you pull a guy aside and say, hey, this ain't gonna happen, and things like that. And guys take responsibility for each other and accountability for each other, and you take accountability and responsibility for yourself. So, hopefully, I know he was riding with somebody else that's in the hospital still. So I hope that person is doing okay, and you got to feel for the family of the other person in the other car, and prayers go out to everyone.
Yes, yes. And I tell you, it hits me really hard personally, because I had a teammate who went through pretty much the exact same scenario when I was with the Cowboys, Dwayne Goodrich, and we are friends to this day still. Lives in the area, but it was very tough and challenging time, and it did remind us, as Derek has so eloquently put, to make sure that hey, we as players need to take advantage of the resources that we had, and we were very good at that. I'll say, as bad as it may sound, when we were out, when we were drinking or doing whatever, we knew exactly who to call, whatever the system was. And I can remember, and my wife can remember, when there's times where, I was with guys your size and they had too much or whatever, and there was no way I was going to carry them. I couldn't move them, and I wasn't going to fight them, any of that kind of stuff. But I did know, okay, well, I'm going to call and make sure this doesn't get out of hand. That's, not accountability, but, just helping a brother out.
It's just helping them out.
That's right.
You come into this thing, man, and you realize that it's hard to see sometimes that, even though you are this great and privileged athlete, that sometimes you're not invincible. You're not that guy that can run through anything, do anything, and everything's going to always be okay. So you have to understand that you are human. And sometimes guys start, they start to read the what do you call it? Read the articles and start believing the hype. And you start thinking, hey, I'm this guy, I'm this Superman, and I'm this superpower, and I can, I'm above the law kind of deal sometimes, and that stuff doesn't work, And where I played, Santa Clara, they were hard on that kind of stuff. So, and we knew that, and they would always come and talk to us. And we had a program at the Niners where all rookies, I helped start this program with a guy named Earl Smith and a few other guys like Steve Wallace and so forth, where we would take, the rookies that made the team and take them to San Quentin. Everybody would walk into San Quentin and sign over your rights. Hey, we're not. Hey, if something happens while you're in here, they're not making negotiations, they're not making trades for you. You stuck in there.
So y'all would have been getting us scared straight.
Basically getting us scared straight, and you walk around and you talk and you meet different people, and you talk to people that are in there for some serious crimes, and you talk to some people in there for stuff that they say like it was just dumb. I shouldn't have done it. And so you kind of get a perspective of, okay, look, you're on one side, but you could be on this side. And so it helped a lot of guys, especially a lot of the younger guys, when they realize like, hey, this could be you, and some guys come from areas where it's rough, and it's tough, and they were lucky to get out, and they have friends that are in places like this. And so when you see it from that aspect and from that angle, it brings awareness to guys. And so it stopped a lot of that stuff from happening where we played.
Okay. Well, I do appreciate it, man, and we appreciate your time. We've had you for about 30 minutes. I want to bring JT back in real fast because I only got one more question for him, JT. And maybe he'll know this, and so I got to make a little bit light of this. But Clay, what's that former coach's name at USC?
Clay Helton. Yeah, Clay Helton,
Hmm?
the guy who has just took a job at Georgia Southern.
Good luck.
How do you go from USC to Georgia Southern? I mean, maybe I just paid him so much money. He just needs something to do, and they're still paying him, right? I guess, I assume.
Yeah, he had a nice little buyout. He had a nice buyout, but he probably should have been there in the first place.
I agree.
What he did to that university, boy. Ooh, I mean, it was rough. It was some rough years. I mean, look, he's a good dude. Like, you talk to him, you break bread with the guy. But as far as it was being an SC, coach, just wasn't good. It wasn't one of those things where a lot of the alumni were unhappy. I think they were even more unhappy with him on the fact that they had to get rid of him during the season. They felt like they wanted it before the season for the last 3 years. So they weren't really happy with him. His recruiting wasn't very good. The things that went down with him getting rid of certain coaches, trying to make it seem like, oh yeah, well, it's this coach, it's that coach. Nah, it wasn't the coach. It was him overall. It's it starts at the top. And so if he wasn't willing to change how he did and address certain things the way that it needed to be done at that school, in that institution, it wasn't going to be anything different. And so he got all the stuff that he needed. Everything he asked for, they gave to him. and it still turned out the same way. And so, now we're in a flux, as you want to say.
Well, I'll say, I guess I'll talk outside of my mouth a little bit and say, well, I hope you guys get better, but not really. Whatever. It's all about Roll Tide, Alabama here, baby.
What do they say? Hey, we're at the situation where don't think it could get any worse. The only way we can go is up.
You say that. I think it can get worse.
I don't think it can get any worse. It can only go up from here, man. You're talking about
could be Cal.
That job is well wanted by a lot of people. And it's a high profile job. It's not a job that no one wants, and it has long tradition. And so it's long in alumni. And so when you sign into there, you got to be a name. You got to be willing to come in the hood, recruit these kids around here, because within like a 10-mile radius of SC, a circle radius, I mean, that's the best recruiting area around.
It is.
And so
Man,
when you don't want to go,
if you hadn't visited out there. Because I took Donovan Lester out there to the camp, and it's a beautiful campus.
Oh yeah,
I mean, it's just crazy. Clancy Pendergrass was the defensive coordinator out there, so I know him very well. Anyway, we went out there, and as he just said, man, right around the campus, good Lord, it was like very similar on a large scale, like how you were at Drake. It was all hood and just people, and you're like, man, just stay on campus. Don't go out here.
Hey, if you get on campus, it's a whole different world. You wouldn't think you see it outside. You see it outside, and you're like, wow, okay. You're looking around. What's around us? You cross the street, over here, diagonal. It didn't matter which direction you went. It was in that area, and you're like, man, this is rough down here. And then you get on campus. Man, it is a whole different atmosphere inside that campus. I
don't know how that happens. Because USC is a private school too. It's not the cheapest school in the state to go to. So how is it that these very expensive schools find themselves in just like the worst areas to be in?
Well, I'm sure it had to do with the land.
Cheap land, baby. Cheap land. They probably got it for barely nothing.
And they figured they would gate everything off around it, which is what they've done. And they have, security on campus all the time. You can't get in without, going through a guard gate. So, I mean, you can walk on campus, but as far as, staying on campus, it's nice. The facilities are nice. I mean, if you just get there, as long as you stay on campus, you wouldn't even know anything existed outside of that. But when you start venturing out, when you're an athlete and you want to live off campus, you want to live somewhere else, and so you live off campus, but you live close. You're fraternity row. If you go on fraternity row, that's a whole different deal in itself. Now you're talking about, hey, but they're trying to do it up a little bit over there now. They're changing some of the stuff, rebuilding some of the stuff, and the one thing I can tell you is that I really never felt threatened in that area, period. Yep. Just because of being an athlete.
Well, and ain't you like 6'5", then...
well, I mean,
you gonna feel threatened anywhere.
Yeah. And you were wearing baggy pants too.
Hey, but the guys down there, everybody knows the athletes down there. You don't have any real big issues. They rooting for SC to win. They always want them to win. But it's the area when people look at it and they, people come from out of town. They're like, I'm not sure this is good for my kid. It's like, you'll be all right.
What he's trying to say is all the donors knew him, all the police knew him, all the people that mattered knew what happened there. So he was going to be okay.
You're safe. You're safe. You know what I mean? You're good.
He had the NIL deal before the NIL was truly an NIL.
There you go.
Read between the lines.
We were all right. Those situations, and now we got to figure out what's going to happen from here on out. I hope they pull in somebody big. We need a big name.
Well,
We need to.
You should apply, man. Go back for it. Go get it. Start your career off.
Nah, I'm good. I'm good. I think they need guys like Eric Bieniemy. He'd be a great candidate for that job. Great.
He deserves a chance
too.
Okay. Well, we've kept you long enough, man. We want to say thank you for coming on. I really appreciate it, and I hope that maybe we can do this again. If you're ever doing your own show or out or whatever it is, or if you need some assistance with something, make sure you got my number now. Hit me up, and we don't mind trips out to California as a visit.
Hey, come on.
It's
all good.
But it's really great. We're going to show that clip again after you get off again. But I really appreciate you being able to talk about that, because it's going to be interesting. Maybe when I get Jeff Garcia come back on too, that'll probably be a good conversation for all three of us.
Jeff's a good dude. Definitely a good guy. Another funny one. So, hey, thanks for having me. You know that. I appreciate it.
All right, man.
Hey, don't kill me too bad when I get off.
Say it again.
Don't kill me too bad when I get off.
I ain't gonna do that. See, he be lying. That's gonna be him. That's gonna be talking about you when you get off.
That's all right. We'll do it again.
All right.
Much love, guys.
Appreciate it.
Take care.
Later. There he is. Make sure y'all find him on Twitter, Derrick Deese, DERRICK _DEESE. Find him on Twitter. He's a good one. It's a great conversation with him, JT. I thought it was magnificent. He didn't know what to expect out of that, but I thought it was good, brother.
Yeah,
I thought it was good.
Very good interview.
So we got some other stuff that we need to chat about, though.
And we're definitely probably gonna have to go over today. So we still got two big things to cover, and we only got 13 minutes to do so.
All right, which one you want to hit first?
Well, I think we should go with the Cowboys first. They had a very big win. I think this is their most impressive win. As I had said to my former manager at my job, that I thought this was one of the first times that the Cowboys had actually found a way to win, instead of finding creative ways to lose. I think that most of the teams that they have played to date, they have been just better than, which is, good when you have the talent. But it was clear that without Dak, the playing field was leveled quite a bit. And without Tyron Smith, the playing field was leveled. And for them to pull out a gutty win like that, especially at the end of the game, was nothing short of impressive to me.
Okay, and so I guess I want to pose that question to the viewers and the listeners: was that a statement win or nah? There's so much swirling around the Vikings as well, right? And did they play well? Well, they up to par. They had their best defensive lineman go out and all this kind of stuff. But I'm with you, JT. If you're asking me, I think it was a statement win. I would like to hear what everyone else has to say about that as well, though, because a lot of going in with Cooper Rush, I didn't really know what to expect. And you're right, when you lose a tackle, a left tackle, and you got a youthful, inexperienced quarterback, you kind of really worry about how it's going to be. And they, for him to go out there and pull this off and put together a 2-minute drive at the end of the game to win it, I think was super, super impressive. So what I saw was heart and I saw grit. They were in a hostile atmosphere against a good coach, good coaching staff that, did make them have to work for it. Without their, the leader, without Dak out there, I think it was tremendous to see them actually get that dub. It was pleasing. And I did tweet out when it was 13-13, I said, oh, That's all the sign that I needed. 2 13s out there. That's it's time for a victory, baby. So, what do we think about this next week, though? I know it's kind of early in the week to be worried about Dak and his calf, but you think he's going to be sitting another game and we're going to roll one more with Cooper Rush this week, JT?
I don't even know who they have next week.
Denver Broncos at home this Sunday at noon.
My original thought was that no, if Dak can play, I think they'll play him. I think that I think they took the precaution that they wanted this week rather than last week. But maybe since the Broncos have traded Von Miller to the Rams, maybe they're like, maybe we can get away with another one. I don't know.
Because they're not playing very well. The Broncos aren't. I mean, Teddy Bridgewater started off hot, but he isn't anymore. Their running game has kind of fell apart. But I'm drawing a blank on their names right now. The 2 running backs that they use.
Melvin Gordon's one. And, I don't know who.
Williams, last name Williams. Javonte Williams, I think, is the other guy. I know they just got Judy back. Sutton hadn't really been playing good. Noah Fant
he's out.
Hurt.
He's got COVID anyway.
Sorry, not hurt. Got COVID. So, a lot of their weapons aren't really there. So, what do you think about the defense, man? Even against the Vikings, what do you think about with just kind of the solidifying deal? I know there were some plays that they made, but Thielen and Jefferson and Cook and Cousins that we pretty much held them in check. Did that really put us up there with the type of defense that we need to have to win a championship?
Well, I think so. I think your defense needs to be above average. I don't think you can win with a below average defense, and I think they are definitely a top 10 defense. I don't know what the numbers are to say if they're a top 5. I feel like they're a top 5 defense, but I don't know. That's just me watching, I guess. They're not better than the Bills defense. But short of that, I don't know too many defenses that I would say are definitely better. There was another part of that question, but I think I've forgotten it. But I think that I think they've got a shot. They have definitely shut down whoever is their main offensive weapon. They've been able to shut that person down for the most part all year. They are definitely playing defense where they're saying, hey, you're going to have to beat us as a team. You're not going to be able to just keep throwing it to whoever or keep handing it off to whoever. Everybody's going to have to show up on your offense in order for you to put points on the board.
I'm sorry because you're making me think about that clip, and I don't know if you uploaded it or not, of Michael Parsons. Actually, we're talking about his instincts, and we see him, and I was watching the game. I'm like, man, this guy's all over the place.
Let me see if I can find it and show it real quick.
Just his instincts of getting to the ball is just days ahead of really, really good football players on there as well when you see him tracking where the ball is going to go. And, JT found a clip, if he is able to get it, of, just his reaction to be able to go shut someone down and actually physically run over LVE to beat him to the ball.
Yeah, I mean, it was and I was trying to figure out, like, was that his guy or was it just pure play recognition or what? It was on the NFL.
I think they were in the zone. It appeared to me to look like just reading the play.
Doesn't look like I'm gonna find it in a reasonable amount of time, so we'll skip that one.
So good, so good. Well, I'm excited about where the Cowboys at. Being 6-1, we're way ahead Now we're in the business of being able to talk about what's it actually going to look like. Do we really got a legitimate shot of having home field advantage, either all the way through or part of the way? Because now it's us, Green Bay, Arizona,
The Rams.
the Rams, yes, and so it's going to be interesting to watch and see how this pans out. Because I don't know where Arizona's going to be. Green Bay, Aaron Rodgers did this past game, without all of his people.
What people? Aaron Rodgers don't ever have people.
Yeah, but not having Devontae Adams or the second wide receiver, Lazard, I guess, it was crazy ridiculous. And everybody's just honing in on Jones, at that time. So, anyway, it'll be interesting to watch. We don't want to end up having to go to Green. I mean, we're good. It just, I don't know if that was us or who I was talking to about it. You just don't want to go to Green Bay in January. Have no playoff game. You can't prepare for that weather, being outside. So that's big time home field advantage. But let's just hope that, Dak is getting healthy. We'll be tracking that to see if he's actually going to play this Sunday or not. I will be in the house. We're going to go out there. Me and Sweater are going to go to the game this week. And I think I got some appearance stuff that I'll be doing out there as well. I'll keep everybody abreast of that. Before we go to the next topic, just want to remind you again, make sure you get on over to YouTube, Teague State Podcast. Subscribe, like us over there. Pay attention to that. Go ahead and hit that little chime button so you know when we're going live on the show. But I'm also going to be doing 2-minute drills is what I'm calling it. 2-minute drill. Where I'll just be doing short clips up to about 2 minutes, somewhere around there of topics that I feel are pertinent. And if there are things that you want me to talk about, you can for surely hit me up on Twitter or Instagram or Facebook and let me know, and I might be able to work out your topic. I did get one already from Mr. McAllister and Drew, so we'll take care of that too, and I'll post that here pretty soon, on those topics. And it doesn't have to be about football. This one's actually about Blackhawks and, what they got going on over there, that little scandal. So I have to do a little bit of research, and then I'll put that out there. All right. So college football rankings came out not too long ago, JT.
Mm-hmm.
I was rooting for Cincy to be up in top 4 just because I'm rooting for them to get into the playoffs so someone can smack them around a little bit. Seems like the committee thought a lot different about a whole lot of things, right?
Yeah.
But
the way I'm thinking about it is kind of, I think the committee is thinking what the majority of people are thinking. They kind of just had the stones to actually say it and make it a reality. I think that I know Oklahoma fans are upset, but I think the committee did kind of look at really how they've been playing and put them where they thought for right now. But I mean, as I was telling one of my fellow Oklahoma fans, you still have to play Oklahoma State and Baylor. So, I mean, if you just beat those two teams that are ranked 11th and 12th, a lot of it doesn't matter where you were at this point in the season, especially if you beat them convincingly. But the committee is basically saying you can't limp around against Tulane, Texas, and Kansas and be losing to TCU for a little bit and for them to put you in the top 4 just because you're undefeated, apparently.
Well, and based upon what you're saying, dude, is it realistic that they can even get back up there? If they do beat who you said and go win the conference, are they going to be better than Oregon, Ohio State?
Yes, I think so. Michigan State still has to play Ohio State, and they still have to play Michigan. And the winner, whoever wins that conference is gonna get in. Unless
what do you mean? The Michigan State, Michigan, Ohio State?
Yes. So like they've got OU has 3 teams ahead of them that in all likelihood are not going to be ahead of them. They're going to losses have to come somewhere. And
except for Cincinnati.
Right, except for Cincinnati. But that's the problem with Cincinnati is that at the end of the day, you could have an SEC winner, you'll have a Big Ten winner, so long as the Big Ten winner is from the East. Yeah, the east side of the division and not whoever comes out of the west, because then that'll just eliminate everybody. And then if Oregon wins the Pac-12, they're going to have to weigh the resume between Oklahoma and Oregon, 2 conference winners, one of them who will be undefeated. And I don't see how a 1-loss Oregon that lost to Stanford gets in over an undefeated Oklahoma that won the Big 12.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's hard for the committee to do. Craig Young says he believes Michigan State is getting the short end of the stick.
So I'm going to go with a real far outlier here then with the whole ACC and Wake Forest, because they really could go undefeated and probably smash up some people for the remainder of their schedule.
Yeah, I think they're on the outside looking into. They don't have nobody, but I don't even know if they even have to play Pitt. They might have to play Pitt for the conference, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
But I think everything, anybody 1 through 8, with the exception of Cincinnati, I think everything's out there for them. I think Cincinnati is they're stuck. That's it. Like pandemonium has to ensue. You know, Cincinnati's gonna have to root for Georgia to win all their games. They're gonna have to root for like Michigan to end up winning or getting to the conference championship game and then like losing to Iowa or something. And Oklahoma has to lose. Like they got to have just absolute chaos.
Yeah. Well, the way college football has been going here lately, I think you just may get it. You just may get it, So, I don't know. It's going to be interesting. I'm kind of glad to see that this is coming out, and I want to see how the AP poll starts to shake up and be different from these guys, So, I don't know. I wish they would start this a little bit earlier, but I don't know. That's probably asking too much because all the AP poll did was stress me out. Just me sitting there looking at Cincinnati at number 2 for the past few weeks. I really was stressed when I put that out there. I'm like, come on, man. We can't be having these guys up here at number 2. So I know everybody think that's Alabama bias or whatnot. So does Alabama, Georgia, if it does get to a matchup at some point in time, man, Georgia's looking pretty good.
Very good.
That's it, right?
Very good.
Defense is ridiculous. I know there's people talk about who they played, and next week we're going to have Marvin Constant on, come out and talk about his old chart about what the best defenses look like. And JT said he's going to debunk that whole theory,
yeah,
sir.
Well, he's going to have to come with a new chart. He can't come with that same chart that he had. He's going to have to come with a different
one. He said he's ready for a debate. So our fellow Alabama grad will be coming on and talking about that as well. And, I don't know. I was just going into, Kirby got those guys playing. Their defense is really, really stout. Know that. I don't know if they've scored enough points, how strong their offense really is, but I just know their defense has been smothering. Am I scared of it? Not really. I think we got enough weapons that we should be able to do something. We just got to be able to block up front. I'm really worried about these twists and stunts we hadn't done very well, in my opinion. I don't know what they're grading out at.
Apparently kind of low.
Yeah, I think that's what bothers me the most because I just think the movement When people are giving us movement and those twists on the inside, we weren't really stopping those. Now, after a bye week, we'll see, all what they worked on, both offensively and defensively, and see how much better we play against LSU. Sunday night, man, how about that? Going in as a
Did you say Sunday night?
28 point?
Did you say Sunday night?
Saturday night.
I was going to say, did I miss something?
Saturday night. I did. Saturday night. I just knew it was a night game. I thought I was really worried about if they were actually going to give us a primetime spot for this game or not, especially with it being favored by 28.5 points. Think we cover?
Yeah, I think we do. The only reason I say that is because it seems like Coach O was already making excuses. Like last week, this excuses started coming. So, and from what Brian Robinson was saying in his press conferences, I don't. This one could get ugly.
Well, there was nothing feeds me better after losing Texas A&M to be able to go back to work and talk to all the LSU fans and talk to Coach Shealy and tell him, yeah, I don't even know if he's going to bet me this year or not. But I'm taking Bama to win 41-24. 41-24.
41-24. So that's sounds like you and Craig agree. That's 17 points, right? Did I do that math right? Yeah. It's 17 points.
Is that what did Craig say?
Craig just says he's got Bama by 17.
Oh, dang. Look at here. Oh, Craigie. Craigie.
I'm going to go out on a limb and say Bama scores 50. They're going to put up 50 points. And then I'm going to say Bama by 30.
Okay. Either way, we're both right at about the over-under deal. So, and it could be. I can't say that I've gauged their LSU's defense that much. I really don't know. I'm watching where they kind of slip a little bit. I'm worried about that little running back that they have. He's bigger. I think we can stop it, but they got some weapons. But I'm not afraid of their quarterback. I think we've seen better. So I think this will be good.
I think that LSU's problem when it comes to this game is kind of LSU of the past. Like if they're really relying on the running back, like regardless of what you think about a run defense, if they're really just like, hey, we're gonna feed the back and that's what we're gonna do, and that hasn't worked for them.
Nope.
So I think if that's their game plan, I think Alabama's going to shut that down. Donnell has 52-14. I think that's about closer to where I'm thinking. I'll give him 21 just because
of late touchdown.
Yeah, either something in garbage time or they don't come out swinging on all cylinders, and then they realize like, oh, okay, we're not going to be able to just like walk through this one. But I feel like anytime they're playing LSU, especially with a week off, they're usually playing very well for that game.
Yes, and Donnell, I'm kind of mad at you and your Florida Gators because they're awful.
Donnell's not a Gator. He's an Auburn fan.
Yeah, he always rooting for Florida because we got them roots down there in Florida a little bit, so he always Florida something or another. Especially in basketball, we always talking about the Gators. And anyway, you need to come on around.
We got one more
thing.
Be
all in.
Well, at least I got one more thing. Yeah. Because I still got to tell you why you're wrong about these chips in footballs. Oh
yeah, let's talk about it. So let me put that in there. So I did I'm calling them short clips. I guess I got to change my terminology because YouTube actually has a thing that's called short clips, but they're only like a minute, I believe. And so my short clips, my 2-minute drill, that's what I'm calling it, my 2-minute drills was about chips and footballs, and I was saying that it was a bad thing. We don't need to go that way. With it, it was really hot for a minute when Dak was underneath the pile and we're trying to figure out if he was really over the goal line and whatnot. And I'm saying no chips and footballs. I'm tired of the technology. Let there be some human error. There's still going to be fault there because you ain't going to be able to tell if it was still in someone's hand or when they, still the possession of the ball and all this kind of stuff. And it's just going to create more anxiety from it. And JT says, I'm flawed on this deal, so let me hear his take about this doggone chip and in footballs. What you got,
all right,
brother?
So what I got is that I think for very specific things, the chip is undeniably the way to go. Especially like we're talking about that Dak play. Like how many times on defense when you're like, we stopped him, and then like by the time the refs come in there, he's like wiggled his way across the goal line, and you're like, come on, man. Like, and then they just pull people off. They're like, oh, well, he's laying in the end zone, therefore it must be a touchdown. You're like, we know he's not, but whatever. And then there's the opposite where it looks like he's stopped and they're trying to go frame by frame to see, like, did he get the ball over before they knocked it out of his hand? Like, they already do this in soccer. It's easy. Just did it cross the goal line? Yes or no? And you can use it only when you can't tell. Now, as far as the human error, the human element, my argument is there's plenty of human element already, and you hate it. It's called pass interference. It's called holding. It's called roughing the passer. All those things that are already not reviewable that we always complain about. We got pylon cams that I don't even, to be honest with you, I don't even know why we have pylon cams because they seem like they don't ever even use them. But whatever. But when you're doing QB sneaks on the goal line and the whole point is not to be able to tell, I think that's the one time that you need to be certain whether they got in or not on goal line stands.
Yeah, but you're going to give a reason for I'm joking about this, but you're going to give a quarterback a reason on why he threw the interception or his ball started to flitter because the chip moved a little bit in the ball and it changed the weight of the ball a little bit and their grip is all messed up. Where do you even put the chip? I mean,
look, they got chips smaller than the head of a pin that you can put in those things. Like I said, I don't know if they actually have a chip in the soccer ball, but however that goal line technology works, it ain't affecting nobody else. Nobody even knows it's there until that little graphic comes up and they do the little thing. They're like, oh, no goal.
Man, I ain't messing with no soccer stuff because they still flop. They let people get away with it and all that kind of stuff. They need to be worried about some other
that's
stuff.
Because, they're saying the same things. They want the human element in their game, and they want it up to the discretion of the referees.
Well, I mean, I'm hearing what you're saying. I think you're right. I just think it's kind of the old Pandora boxing stuff again because it's not just going to be about – they're going to say, well, we're just going to use it for this. If it comes down to it at an owner's meeting next year, hey, we're going to put some things in it. But it's going to become to did the ball go out of bounds. I think it's just you guys in your field can program and do all kind of stuff to make us try to figure out every little aspect of the game, and it'll bleed into other stuff because it's probably going to have a timer in it too. Did we blow the whistle before it actually crossed the line? And, there's going to be some other kind of technology to go into it. And sooner or later, we ain't going to have no officials. And maybe that's a good thing. I don't know. But it's just kind of getting out of hand a little bit. Yeah, there's a lot of things I don't like. I think the game's getting too soft. We saw some of that here this past week, where even in the Cowboys game, we're unsportsmanlike or roughing the passer, and then wasn't unnecessary roughness when LVE hits the guy out of bounds, and it's just it does get frustrating, but I don't know, man. I'm just
then they didn't call it when Harrison Smith choked out CeeDee Lamb there at the end of the play. They didn't want to show that again. Literally had dude tapping out on the sideline.
Yeah, it's bad, but I don't know. I hadn't really talked about those officials. Are we short on NFL officials too? I know we're short in high school. I'm not sure about college, but I'm wondering if they're with COVID and money and everything else, where people have kind of stayed away. The top officials, I don't know that for sure. So anyway, thanks for reminding me of that. I forgot about it. It's good stuff, brother. Again, I just want to remind everybody to make sure that you're starting to move over to YouTube for us. We'll keep reminding you for the next few weeks. But by the end of November, we're going to be over on YouTube fully. So go ahead and subscribe, likes, hit that little bell so you know when things are going on for us. You can find me on Teague Football, Instagram, Twitter, George Teague on Facebook. The official George Teague is coming up here pretty soon, but just hit me up where you've been hitting me up, because I still got other things to do.
We got comments about my shimmy about QBs wiggling into the end zone by the time the refs get into the pile.
What did he say?
Yeah, Dono asked me how did he wiggle again, and Craig Young said, "Do the shimmy." I missed it.
Well, it was a pretty good analogy. I thought it was really, really good. It really was. So, I think we about wrapped it up, man. It's been really good. It was great to be able to have Derrick Deese on. Make sure y'all follow him on Twitter. Look him up. He's doing a lot of good things. Bama game is going to be a big one. Let's tune in on that. I'll try to keep you guys updated on that too. Pray for the people that need to be prayed for as well. Calvin Ridley, Henry Ruggs, and everyone else that's dealing with a lot of different things. You know what? Continue to be Teagsters. You guys being in tonight, listening to us and giving us the message on Twitter. Texas Girl 2009, always saying good things. A lot of people out there. Vicky Couch, we really appreciate you for all the time that you always give us. And there's a ton of you who do that. So thank you guys for that. But it's getting late. I still got to go to work tomorrow. JT still working from home, so he just gets up when he want to get up. I let him off the hook for that.
Thank you. Pays to do what I do.
That's right. It does. It does. And yeah, you got some updates to give me about that, by the way.
I do.
Yes. So until next week, we'll be back here live again. Don't forget, we're going to have Marvin Constant on to talk about defenses, college defenses, and where they actually rank, along with any other breaking news that may come out, or just interesting topics or things that you send us that you want us to be able to talk about. So a lot of stuff going on. Tomorrow, I will be on Cowboys Crosstalk. If you guys are Cowboy fans, it's shot here on 105.3 The Fan, DallasCowboy.com. I'll be on from 7 to 8 tomorrow night. I will be there in person, so I know there's going to be a small group of people out there to see that live. And I'll be there, and then I'll be at the game, the Dallas Cowboy game this Sunday. And I think the only thing I got set up that you guys need to know about right now is we'll be at the Arkansas game in Tuscaloosa. Because they're going to go. So we're really looking forward to that as well. So make sure you guys stay tuned in to Teague's Take. My name, George Teague. You can call me Mr. Glue. His name, James Teague. We're going to call him Bama J. Oh, Bama J. Tune in to us next week. And we are out.